It is Thursday, October 13th, and the Give and Go show is back in your life. We are back. We are talking about the end of the preseason. We're talking about predictions for the upcoming season. We've got, 5 days now until the actual season starts. We're starting on Tuesday, the 18th, if I remember correctly. Got a couple cool matchups to look forward to. As always, my name is Griffin Queen, and I am joined by Matt Modi and Matt Ferentinos, who I will refer to the entire pod as Modi and Ferentinos because their parents aren't very creative.
Biblical names.
Yeah, good. Yeah, that's right. Griffin, not a biblical name. Matthew, very
mythical
much so.
name though.
Yeah, mythical. Yeah, that's true. That's true. And Queen, a dictator name, a monarchy name.
You can't choose your last name anyways.
That's true. If I could, this still might be the one that I chose. Good to see you guys. Glad to be back.
Good to see you too. I know it's been a while.
Big difference between last episode. Ferentinos, you were not on. Modi, you unfortunately were. You had to deal with me while I was in the middle of a fast. Could not drink water, could not drink caffeine, could not eat food. So I went back and I rewatched that episode. I don't know what I said. I genuinely was so under caffeinated that every time that I went on anytime I would get going on something, I would just be talking, and I had no idea what I was saying. I listened to it and it's gibberish. So Modi, I apologize.
Most of what we say probably ends up as gibberish anyway, so nobody probably really knew the difference.
Sure, I've been known to rant and ramble. That's absolutely a fact of this podcast.
Gibber, to jabber. I'm not sure what the present tense of gibberish is, but
yeah, I guess jabber jabber,
not really
zigging and zagging. Is gibber the inverse of jabber, or do they have to go together?
I don't know. These are very important questions that we need to get answered.
Would you call this gibber jabber, or is it just gibber or just jabber?
I would call this gibber. It's both. There's some gibbering, there's some jabbering.
Ferentinos is definitely missing the week that he was not here. He's like, this was great. How are you guys? Good to see you.
Good. Back. Living the dream.
Gibber is a horse that jibs, i.e. refuses or stops short. So,
okay, so I feel like that's probably not part of the definition that we're looking for. Is there a second tier definition? Is there an example that goes with it?
Let me look up jabber first.
Speaking of looking up a word, I tried to look up if goading was a word, they got goaded into doing something.
Goaded.
Yeah, but I looked up
D.
No, see, I looked it up with a T.
Oh, okay. Well, it doesn't have a T in it.
Do you want to know what goading is according to Urban Dictionary?
Is it something gross?
It's absolutely not safe for work.
Does it involve something to do with your nutsack?
Yes,
or a goatee.
Does it involve cupping it in your hands and showing it to somebody?
No, that's probably a different word. It's the act of putting one's balls behind their legs while mooning an unexpecting boy. If said boy looks at Mooner may touch unexpecting boy's butt twice.
Well, that's from Waiting.
It's from Waiting.
Yeah.
I don't like how they say boy.
Which one am I thinking of?
Yeah, it's it has to be.
It doesn't have to say boy. It should have a different.
It shouldn't say boy. It absolutely should not say boy.
That's my only complaint with it.
Say man. Say person. Don't say woman. Don't say girl. Don't say.
Is the assumption that it's two kids doing that to each other? Because if a man needs to do it with a boy, you're going to jail.
If it's two kids doing it together, I don't want to talk about it because I don't like the fact that I just said if it's two kids doing it together on recorded media.
Kids show their genitals to each other, all the time.
Kids will be kids.
Do they?
Griffin, I don't know if you should be the one saying, do they?
Sure. A lot of people have
more of my male friends' genitalia than I'm proud to admit.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's I feel like we were adults when that happened. Maybe not.
I might have been 17, 18.
I thought we were early college, which is I guess still kids, but it's not creepy kids. It's not I thought you meant 7-year-olds.
When you were boy, when you hear boy,
I hear boy. I think baby boy,
high school.
Little boy.
Yeah, I was thinking high school locker room type.
Oh yeah, in high school, the only thing you see for 4 years is penis. It's the only thing.
Yeah.
We should.
You'd like
we
to
should
see
not,
boobs, but you know.
we should not publish this episode. We're gonna. I'm not gonna take this out because that requires me to put in work to edit it. But yeah, so let's move on away from goating and goated.
Yes.
And the goat. Like, we're not gonna talk about LeBron James at all this episode, I don't think. Although maybe we will, because we're gonna be doing preseason predictions, and maybe you guys have him for most improved player. Who's to say? I don't know what that would take for him to be most improved player. I figure like a Wilt stat line, like 45 and 22 or something.
Playing
like
82 games, probably.
Yeah. Look, if LeBron James puts up 45 and 22, I'm going to put it out here right now. I don't agree with former MVPs or defensive players of the years or all NBA players winning most improved player, but there's no argument for who else would be most improved player, right? It'd be LeBron.
I was just going to say, like, trajectory wise, like, he should win most improved and MVP, because and to do a jump like that.
If he's pulling down 22 rebounds, give him, I don't even care if he's a turnstile on the fence, give him defensive player of the year as well. Like, that's incredible. Yeah. It's like a third of the rebounds in a game. Neither here nor there. I don't think we're going to be putting LeBron James down as the most improved player. But before we get into that, a couple other things we want to talk about. Anime. We haven't done an anime check-in in a while. I know, Ferentinos, you started watching something in the past 24 hours or so.
Yeah, I started. So actually caught up on a few. Got to recommend, and both on Hulu. Chainsaw Man just came out. I think Mappa is doing the animation. Awesome manga. Chapter 200 like just came back. Highly recommend it. I think
Mappa,
it's going to come
for
out
anybody
weekly.
that doesn't know, famous recently for doing the most recent seasons, I guess, of Attack on Titan.
Okay, I did not know that.
The final season, part 8.
Yeah, a lot of final seasons for them.
And
maybe
then also
figure out your work culture, Mappa. I don't know. Mappa,
but
Mappa,
yeah, they do Jujutsu Kaisen too, so they're just like one of my favorite studios. So I thought it was really well done, and I just love the characters. Really looking forward to that anime. But also Bleach. Is it called the 1,000-Year War? I'm trying to remember what it's called.
The 1,000-Year Blood War, I think, is what it is.
Yeah, so it's like the final Bleach arc that just came out on Hulu. I watched that episode, and now I'm going to go watch all of Bleach because of that episode. I mean, I know we had talked about Bleach before, but it was really good. I mean, if you hadn't seen the old ones before, just like the upgraded animation, it looks great. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to that one too.
Yeah. Moda, I think you're currently watching Bleach as well.
Yeah.
Maybe taking a little bit of a pause on it.
Yeah, I haven't been able to watch a ton because like if I'm just throwing something on and not paying attention, then I'll put something that I've already watched. But with Bleach, it's like I haven't seen it, so I want to be the sole thing I'm doing. But with just work, with football starting and House of Dragon that I'm trying to keep up weekly.
So good.
Which is tough, which is good. I'm still one episode behind.
No spoilers.
What
episode are they on? 6? I think we talk about this every week.
They just finished the 8th episode.
Yeah. So I'm 7 episodes behind.
And I read the entire book after this past episode. I have Fire and Blood, and I read the whole thing.
I'll be honest with you. I don't remember what happened in episode 1, so I guess I'm 8 episodes behind. I remember a very gruesome childbirth, and that's
just
kind of where I blacked out.
That's a common theme.
Ferentinos, I'm glad you're getting into Bleach. Moda, I hope you have the time soon to get back into it. One thing I will say, Ferentinos, to you and to anybody listening, I know that you're really into reading manga while you're watching anime, or reading manga and then watching anime, or switching back and forth. Do not do that with Bleach. Okay. You can read the manga up to a point in Bleach, but everything that is going to be in 1,000-Year Blood War, I would highly recommend that you wait for it to be anime. Watch it only anime.
Yeah.
The writer and mangaka Tite Kubo, he was going through some health issues. He was really ready to end Bleach. Like, it had been serialized a lot longer than he intended it to be. He kind of like ran out of, not necessarily imagination, but he ran out of patience for it. He was just trying to rush to get it done. It gets really bad for the end. Like, there's a lot of fights that are just like Deus Ex Machinas to end the fight. Like, it's just not good at the end. Mm-hmm. The big hope and the general belief, and what's kind of been rumored in the anime community and different animation departments and things like that, is that like this is his do-over, and this is why he basically waited as long as he did to bring the show back, because it's been on hiatus for a decade at this point. Yeah. Is so that he gets to do it again and do it better, and put a good product out there where he's actually able to expand on the fights, and like the animation looks incredible. The voice acting has always been incredible. I'm sure the outfits are going to be incredible because on Bleach they always are. That's going to be my one recommendation. Is if you're going to read, if you're going to read it, read it up to a point and then wait.
The whole crew was like in the first episode, and then I went back and watched, and it's just like I understand where it's going. I mean, all like kind of shonens and animes are like similar in that way, but that's what I enjoy. It's like you think it's around the protagonist, but then so many side characters also have really compelling arcs and are sometimes the more interesting characters. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
There are an incredible number of side characters. I mean, it's like One Piece, it's like Naruto. It's
that was my favorite part of Naruto was all the side characters, like just all their stories and stuff.
Broccoli,
like,
baby.
Dragon Ball Z back in the day, everyone was like, "Oh my god, so many side characters." Dragon Ball Z has like 35 to 40 characters in it. Naruto has like 300
goated characters too.
Yeah, One Piece has like 1,000. Bleach has like hundreds. Like you can see how much things have changed in the anime and manga industry just from like how many characters and how long these arcs are. Dragon Ball Z was such a long anime and it's only a couple hundred episodes. One Piece is 1,100 episodes at this point.
It's still going.
They're coming out with a One Piece movie I saw and a video game.
They've got a million video games. They've got a million movies. Some of them are in canon. Some of them are not. We could dive into that on a separate pod at some point. Like the One Piece universe is.
I was just in theaters. I literally saw like there's a poster for it at AMC, which I think is like they can't have that many that actually were released in theaters.
They have a few that they've done theaters for. So much like they did the recent Jujutsu Kaisen movie in theaters, they did Demon Slayer, Mugen Train in theaters. Like there's recently a growing desire from these companies to do theatrical length stuff and put it in theaters because they like the anime community is so invested that everyone goes out and watches it. Like they're going to make so much money. One Piece, I think, has done like 15 movies, and I think like 3 of them have been in theaters.
Oh.
When I saw Jujutsu Kaisen 0, it was just like in Georgetown the day of. I went and bought the tickets, went with my little brother, and the whole theater was packed. And I was like pleasantly surprised to see it because there is something about the movie experience when it's a packed theater. Like, absolutely. I went and saw Spider-Man, and I was like, me, my girlfriend, and 2 people, the new Spider-Man movie, and I was geeking out at like every scene, and it's just me. Like I'm like the only one going, oh, and I'm like, damn, nobody else is here. Like it's like, do you know what just happened? Do you realize what happened? And my girlfriend's like, no, I have no idea what's happening.
Yeah, that's like there's times where I'll put on Jujutsu Kaisen around Julia because I keep trying to get her into it. And I'll be like, Julie, like you gotta watch this fight. Like it's incredible. There's like, even if you're not into the show, look at the animation. And she's just like, I don't care about this show. I'm like, I love that you love so many of the things that I like how much she loves Attack on Titan or how much she likes Studio Ghibli stuff. Like she likes a lot of anime that I've showed her. And Jujutsu Kaisen is like peak. It's literally at the top of what a shonen should be, and she's not interested at all. It is what it is.
She likes Attack on Titan, though. I'll take it.
She loves Attack on Titan. She loves it maybe more than I do.
Yeah.
That's enough anime talk, I think. I think we've probably lost anyone that was listening. Anything else you guys want to jump into before we go through our predictions?
We can probably wait for this on the next episode because I have a video game conversation I'd like to have. But if the people already left after talking anime, they're probably
right. Let's keep it from being too nerdy. Let's get back into like sports nerdy.
Overwatch 2.
Yeah, we've been playing a lot of Overwatch 2. Next week we'll do some video game talk. Looking forward to that already.
I'll save the notes.
Hope to get some spoilers from you of what that conversation is going to look like ahead of time because I, much like anime and basketball, big video game guy because I'm a fucking nerd. Let's get into it. You guys want to get into it?
Let's do it.
All right. So this episode, before the season begins, like I said, we're 5 days out. We are going to do our predictions for Rookie of the Year, Most Improved Player, 6th Man of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year. We are going to do an MVP pick, both who we actually think is going to win, as well as a dark horse pick. And then we are going to give our finals picks, both the 2 teams that were going to be in it, as well as who we think before a single game of regular season basketball has been played, who we think is going to win the title this year. So let's get into it. We're going to start with Rookie of the Year. I am not going to go first on this one. I'm actually going to let Ferentinos go first because I may have seen his notes on this one. And I want Modai to hear who he's going to pick. Ferentinos, floor is yours. Who are you picking for Rookie of the Year this year?
The 6th pick this year, Benedict, and it's Mathurin. Yeah, Mathurin. I heard it a few times the commentators say it, but this dude is a beast in preseason. And I was just watching. So I'll say most of my predictions and my knowledge is from the previous game, from like last night, the last 2 nights of games. Because
from the past 18 hours.
Well, a lot of like the starters were in rotation a lot more. Like you got to see kind of like, and that's why I'm excited to talk about just our predictions too. Because I feel like, to be honest, the regular season, it seems like they're going to try just as hard as the preseason when it comes down to it. Like it's kind of, no one really tries as hard on defense. It's a lot more like flowy. It's really just who's making their jump shots. But he is really polished. He has a great first step, drove to the line. Last night he put up 27 points, including having like this insane windmill dunk to just put an exclamation point on the game. He's got the strength to finish at the rim and is good at the free throw line, 11 for 12. I mean, the Pacers, like this is the year where they just have such a balanced team. They've always been a good small market organization. And I think, there's room for a breakout player to come for the Pacers. And I just think he looked really, really impressive to me. There's a few other rookies that I'm sure you guys are going to talk about that can also take that step and be impactful to the team. But I just feel like where the Pacers are at, like I could see him having the opportunity to shine and really getting on people's radars to get Rookie of the Year this year.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it makes a lot of sense to me. Honestly, before I saw your notes, he was who I was going to say. And truthfully, I will say I was between two guys on my notes. I did have Benedict, or who I'm going to end up talking about in a little bit. I mean, he seems like he's got a great feel for the game at this point. Great college stats, great preseason stats. He's on a Pacers team that I really like. I don't think they're trying to contend this year. They're not trying to contend this year. I'll straight up say it. I don't know if they're necessarily trying to tank. I think a lot of that will be dependent on whether or not they end up moving Miles Turner and Buddy Hield and getting some additional picks out of that. I think it's a lot more likely that they're going to be like the low end of mediocre, like a 32 to 35 win team that doesn't get a high pick, but also doesn't make the playoffs. So he's going to have, in my opinion, a lot of opportunities to thrive. I think they're going to get the ball to him a lot. I think they're going to try and accelerate his development as much as possible. Because why wouldn't you, right? Like you're not trying to contend this year, but you also don't want to keep him out of games because you're not necessarily tanking. Now's the time to develop him. Like you want him to be ready in the next 2 to 3 years for the Pacers to go back to being a playoff team, because Pacers basketball, they, much like Cardinals baseball, like they do not miss the playoffs. They don't want to miss the playoffs. They don't like tanking. They would much rather be at the high end of average and make the playoffs every year than be bad consistently, because that state cares so much about their basketball.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. The Hoosier State. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, he's a stud. Benedict Matherin's great. I loved him at Arizona. One thing I'm like a huge nerd for is the draft, both NBA and NFL. So like most of my knowledge is these people as draft prospects, less so what they've done in the preseason. Mm-hmm. But he showed out in the tournament. He was great. So like him going 6 made sense. The only thing I'll disagree with Griffin, that's I don't like. There's no way this team's winning 30 games. I think even if they like, I just think there's no way. And not that I think he can't win Rookie of the Year, even if they don't win 30 games. I just think that they don't like tanking, but they did at the end of the year, and they're probably going to this year because we all watched when
there's going to be a tankathon.
Everyone's going to. Honestly, at this point, like if you're going to be like an 8 seed, tank. Fucking right. What's the worst thing that happens?
I might submit my tape to OKC and see if they'll throw me in the starting lineup.
This is the year they're going to do it. They're going to have. I'm telling you right now, there's going to be some teams like the Thunder, like the Jazz, that are going to have as many players take the court this year as they did during the COVID years. They're going to have all these guys on two-way contracts. They're going to bring guys up when they trade other guys out of there. It's going to be bad.
The tanking we're going to see this year is going to be like nothing else. Like it's going to be, especially because the way the lottery odds work, the worst 3 records have the same odds. So if there's any chance of a team getting in the bottom 3, I mean, they're going to take that chance.
I will say, I don't think it's going to be like nothing we've ever seen. I think there's a very specific example of something that we've seen like this that we can point to.
No. I mean,
might start with T and end with a process.
I mean the amount of teams, not the tanking.
Sure.
We've seen
I agree with that.
Horrible tanking. Just we've never seen this number of teams that are going to be tanking. That's what I did.
I saw a funny stat that if OKC, because a lot of people are talking about them being maybe the most shameless team to just completely tank this year.
I know what
If
stat
they
you're
go
talking about.
if they go defeated, they will still have a better like 3-year record span than the Sixers did during the trust the process.
By percentage. Yeah. it'll be like a 291 win percentage versus like 270 or something like that.
Well, because one of those years they were actually good, right? If you look at the last 3 years.
Yeah, and then
3 years
Shea
ago
got hurt.
That was like, wasn't 3 years ago the Chris Paul year?
Chris Paul and then Shea were on the team. They were like a 40-some win team. They've only been tanking
for 2 years.
For really a year and a half, not even necessarily 2 years.
This will be the second
year. They started off 2 years ago trying to like build something. Shea got injured. They tanked like egregiously. Last year tanked egregiously.
This year, Chet getting hurt too. Like,
yeah, that's right. I'm 1 year behind, but so this will be like the third year, kind of second, whatever.
And then people were like, why isn't anyone mad at the Thunder for doing this like the Sixers did? And it's like, well, one market is in Philadelphia and the other is OKC. So people don't care about OKC. Like Philadelphia has an expectation to be a competitive sports town.
The fans were all bad. The fans were on board with the tank. It was the NBA. It was the NBA
until the Colangelos got added.
Yeah, exactly. Literally, Dave Silver was like, you need to get a Colangelo, Adam Silver, whatever.
Adam Silver.
Yeah, you're like,
Dave Silver is like the darkest timeline version of Adam Silver.
yeah.
He's got a goatee.
Yeah.
Anyways, my pick. I'll make it quick. I got Jaden Ivey. I think. Is he your second one?
Yes.
That's fine. We can have.
I can't win.
I love Jaden Ivey, and I think he went to a perfect spot to win Rookie of the Year. Like next to Cade Cunningham, he's going to get. Like he's next to a good guard, but a great facilitator. So he's going to lead. He's going to have a ton of the ball in his hands a ton. They're probably going to lose, but they're going to be probably more fun than the Pacers because I think they'll try harder than the Pacers. I think the Pistons will because they have a lot of good young players on that team, including Cade, including Jaden Ivey. Like Jalen Duran, the other guy they drafted, I think is really good. And everybody saw that block in the preseason. He just sniped it out of the air.
Yep.
But yeah, I love Jaden Ivey. He's my pick.
All right. So clearly, if you're paying attention to my reactions, you know that I was between Benedict and Jaden. So really, in a way, if either one of these guys win, I feel like I deserve half credit. I'm going to go Jaden Ivey. I think the Pistons being a more competitive team is going to be the major factor here. So far in the preseason, his numbers are largely in line with what he was doing in his second year at Purdue. As a sophomore in college, he's 17-5-3. Game 1, 16-4-2. Against the Pelicans, 14-3, 6, and a steal on admittedly awful shooting. Against the Thunder, he had 11-2, 4, 2 blocks, and a steal. So the guy's going to influence the game in a lot of ways. You know, when he and Cade are playing heavy minutes together, he's going to have the guy getting him the ball where he needs it. He's going to be a guy, in my estimation, that's probably going to look a lot like last year's second half Jalen Green, where the game's going to start coming easier to him as time goes on. You're going to see the scoring in big numbers. The efficiency is going to be a problem, and that's fine because he's a 19 or 20-year-old rookie. The Pistons are not going to be a playoff team, but they're going to be a better than bad team. And when it comes down to it, if it's between him and Benedict and there's, a 10 to 12 win difference, even if the numbers for Benedict are a little bit better, I think they're going to lean towards a guy like Ivy because they want to incentivize the writers that are going to vote for this want to incentivize winning.
Yeah, the Hardo old school writers. Well, this team tried. Yeah.
And it's not even necessarily all the old school guys. I mean, you look at a lot of like not the new media guys,
the
like
new media,
Green, but the new media, like a Bill Simmons and those guys like that. They still do incentivize winning. They do care about the end result on the basketball court as much as they care about the process more than the guys from like the 70s, 80s, 90s. Like the blog boys do care about, are you a 25 win team or are you a 38 win team?
It is different.
Bill Simmons, I was just going to say, I remember Bill Simmons was like a Jalen Green hater. So that just to that fact about winning, like he was like, he's doing okay, but they still lose. So who even cares? And it's like, well, player
he got in a lot of trouble
for
him saying fuck Jalen Green. Like
there
was a whole backlash to that.
Yeah,
he ended up bringing Jalen Green on the pot, and at that point, second half Jalen Green, you go look at him, it's night and day what kind of player he was. First half Jalen Green was not ready for NBA basketball. Second half Jalen Green was where a lot of 30-year guards are. Like he was very good.
Yeah, it's an interesting middle ground because like sometimes bad players just need to be on bad teams and play a ton of minutes and like in low stakes basketball.
Yeah.
But also it's just different when your team's trying to win. Like it's just a different level of competition. So so there's kind of like two sides of it, but yeah,
I think that's why, you know, you look at a guy like Jordan Poole or potentially a Wiseman or some of the guys that come through the Spurs system or the Celtics system or the Heat system. When they're rookies, a lot of times they look like some of the worst players in the league because they're playing on a team that either has really big expectations or has had big expectations and is now like figuring it out with young guys. And so they're kind of giving them the chance to stretch their legs a little bit, but they're also learning these complicated systems. And most 19-year-olds, unless you're like a Zion or something like that, or a Doncic, you're not going to know like an NBA offense from day one. Like it's going to take time.
Yeah,
you're coming from a college offense that is very basic.
Yeah, and you can't play through your mistakes either. Like if you fuck up on a good team, they're gonna say, "All right, well, you're not like we can't have this happen because we actually need to win games." So yeah,
that's why a lot of Kansas guys struggle their first couple of years in the league because they come from basically like a go be athletic and good at basketball offense where everyone's ISOing all the time and just being the best players on the court to playing in an NBA system and missing a ton of shots because they don't know where their spots are.
And it's like a shout at Andrew Wiggins.
It's not really, because Andrew Wiggins came in the league and like he was a version of what he is now. Like Andrew Wiggins, the issue wasn't talent, it was mindset. He figured out NBA basketball quicker than a lot of guys. It's just like once he figured it out, there was no progression. He did not get better year to year in a way that you would have expected because he was on the Timberwolves. And
his shot selection, I mean, like those Timberwolves years is just disgusting.
Yeah, except for when he played the Cavaliers.
Yeah, cool.
In which case he would drop 40 points right on their heads and snarl at them at the time.
Yeah, he had 3 good games a year when on those Timberwolves.
All right, so we got 1 pick for Benedict and 2 for Jaden Ivey. I like it. I guess we're leaning in the same direction. If you guys want to go put a bet on it, I don't think either of those guys are in the top 3 for Rookie of the Year right now.
Yeah, kind of interesting. None of us took like any of the top 4 picks, right? I think Ivy was 5.
Ivy was 5, if I remember correctly. Yeah, I mean, the problem with being a top pick is that you're going to the worst teams. And so, yes, you kind of have the most opportunity to stretch your legs, but like we mentioned, you're not going to win games. And if you're not winning games, you're not going to be in the national media conversation. They're not going to care about you. It's only the guys that like jump out of the gate real fast while being top picks that end up doing that. Next year, whoever gets Wembanyama.
I can see Banchero definitely winning it this year too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
Like, I mean, he does look really polished still. Like Orlando shut him down a little bit, but I mean, he's been playing well. He could easily win it too.
Yeah. I think a lot of that is going to depend on how that team looks and see like, you know, if there's too many guys that need the ball in their hands, but we'll absolutely see with them. I understand why the odds on him are good. Let's move on. We're doing most improved. Modi, we're going to start with you. And I'm going to go second this time. I never go second.
You always go last.
I always go last. Yeah, well, you know, this whole like host thing, I feel like it's like my responsibility to go last. But maybe on the next one, I'll go first and we'll just change it up.
So like, I don't know if my pick fits into one of a selection that you hate the concept of, but I mean, give me Tyrese Maxey. He's going to be incredibly important for the Sixers. He's going to be their primary ball handler when James Harden's not on the floor. James Harden's probably not going to play a ton of minutes in the regular season as he's nursing the hamstring injury is just going to be a constant problem.
So let me interrupt you real quick. Why wouldn't I like this one?
Well,
like,
because
what about this one is the pushback?
Oh,
because he's a third year player and he was good last year. Like wasn't that kind of the thing where it's like the
I think it's a taking.
If you're not an all-star level player, I think you are still eligible for this award. That's my feeling on it. If you like. You could be a 3, 4, 5, 6 year starter. And if you jump from being like a 14 point per game guy to being an all-star or being like one of the best starters at your position that isn't an all-star, I think you're up for this award. My issue is when you give it to a guy who's like, you give it to a Ja who is so close to being all-star level, who then takes that jump. And it's like, well, we already knew he was on this trajectory.
Okay, fair. Okay, I didn't know it. Yeah, I guess like Maxey was clearly never as good as Ja was before.
He didn't have the hype either. Like Ja, it was like you came in the league, you're the number 2 pick.
Second overall pick.
You have to be good.
Yeah, but I mean, Maxey is going to be like the linchpin of the Sixers because he's like probably their best at this point off the dribble because of how fast he is, and if his jump shot is legit, which has been legit for a year now and looks even better in the preseason, like the form looks good. His counting stats might not be good, which is the concern, or not good, but like might not be elite with Embiid and Harden. But I think he's going to be so important to the Sixers team. It's a high profile team. He had like some legitimately blow up playoff games, which is kind of like this, which is one of the things I looked for were players that kind of had up and down seasons, but blew up in the playoffs because like high profile, then everybody starts to think about them. So I went with Tyrese Maxey. I also have a backup because I didn't know if that was going to be cop out or not, and I'll save my backup till after you guys go.
Yeah, save it for after. Yeah, I don't have a problem with this pick. I was actually looking at the odds ahead of time. I think Maxey might have been like plus 1,000.
2,000, right?
2,000 plus 2,000. Yeah, plus 1,000 actually.
I have it up. He's the second favorite. Which I would not have expected. He's the second best. I mean, I think most favorable odds.
Most improved, like it's such a hard one to predict because not only are you predicting quality, but you're also predicting narrative a little bit. Yeah. Not in the same way, and it's not even like narrative in the same way that it's like an MVP narrative. It's like, what do the voters care about in terms of improvement this year? Like, is similar numbers but great efficiency and you win a lot more games, or is it, you explode into a great starter or something like that? I've got no issue with Tyrese Maxey being the pick. Not the direction that I went in, but yeah, I like it as a pick. I was between two guys as well. And I'm actually going to go with a guy that we talked about on my previous pick. I'm going to go my second award for a Pistons player. I'm going to say Cade Cunningham.
Cade, that's a good pick. Yeah.
Like a second year player, isn't that kind of like the someone who shouldn't necessarily qualify going like from a rookie year to their second year?
Potentially, but I think Cade is. I think maybe. My thing is that I think Cade is going to go from being an inefficient, albeit good rookie, to being one of the most effective point guards in the league in a year. Like but he was second pick. I think if you said from year 1 to year 2, Ja Morant, it makes a little bit more sense than year 2 to year 3, where we already saw that he was going to be an all-star. But I could also go in a different direction with this if you would like. There's another guy that I'd pick who's also an early pick. Like,
everyone knew Cade was good, but I still think it's like like a lot of these guys that we still talk about, like NBA heads knew that Tyrese Maxey was always impactful to Philly. And I know Modi at first, you're like, well, I don't know if you guys are going to shit on me for this pick, but it's like, but not the casual fan. Like, I think this could be the season where if the Pistons do have success and Cade is that dude and they actually start getting on primetime and important games, like it makes that type of a leap. That's where I don't always like to defend Griffin, but
I could also give you my fun pick, and I don't even know what team he's on currently, but I could give you my fun one.
We'll see what Ferentino's has, because I have a backup as well, so we can share our backups.
Sure.
I just kind of went with, I mean, I don't know if this one is a good one too, but just looking at the odds, it kind of popped out to me as a player that could take another lead too. But Jalen Brunson just being second fiddle to Luka last year, and now that he's like the centerpiece, the biggest acquisition in a kind of let down free agency, I'll admit, this year. But I think if he just has the usage, which we know Thibodeau loves to do in New York, and Brunson really steps up and the Knicks do take a leap, which, I mean, I know that there's a lot of people out there that think that this could be the team this year. I know like Zach Lowe's kind of high on the Knicks this year. As could be potentially like dark horse team to do pretty well. But I think if Brunson does take that step, it could be a good year for him to win this award. And, he was like the main guy I talked about, but still he was like second fiddle to Luka, was more of like a sixth man last year. I think he could be, if the feature guy and plays well, win the most improved this year.
Sure.
In New York, big media market, I mean, that definitely influences a lot of things too.
Yeah, I like that. I hadn't considered him, but I mean, that makes sense. Going from second fiddle to primary ball handler in New York. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm kind of out on Jalen Brunson. I just like, I need to see who he is when he's not next to Luka for a while.
Saw that in the playoffs.
And also like the Knicks effect bothers me a little bit. Like paying a lot of money for a dude who's not necessarily I don't want to say deserving, because whatever you get is what you're deserving of. But I didn't think was going to command that type of contract. And now you're putting the expectations of a massive fan base and a team that consistently underperforms on a guy like that. I just don't know. I don't know.
I think he's better than people give him credit for. Like not worthy of the contract.
I think he's good. I think he's a good player. I don't think he's worth I don't like using that. I don't think that contract makes sense for where he is in the current NBA hierarchy.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
The Knicks were willing to pay it, so it's what he got.
Yeah, but I also think he's better than people think. Like those, was it 3 playoff games that Luka missed? He was like
huge.
He was amazing.
He was great. He was fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Show me you can do that for 82 games.
And that's definitely what got him paid too. I mean, but that's 82 games, but also Luka played every game. I mean, he was hurt for some, and he's such a high volume ball dominant player that it never gave Brunson too much time to shine. Like when he had his moments, he did play really well.
Yeah, Luka highest usage rate in the league last year. Him and Embiid, I think 1 and 2. And obviously very different types of usage. Embiid not putting the ball on the ground as often as Luka. All right. What was your other pick, Modai?
Desmond Bane. He's good.
I thought about Desmond Bane. I really did. I thought, if he can figure out the T-Rex arm thing and, be like a consistent plus defender and he continues on the trajectory he's already on. Yeah, I could absolutely.
Didn't Ja give it to him this past year?
Yeah.
Or was that was
oh,
like
yeah.
video, right?
He said that he
deserved this too.
I don't remember if he handed it to him or he shipped it to him or something. He was like, this is your award, not mine.
I do know
because I think I feel like to Ja that might be like a little bit of a disrespectful. Like you were in MVP contention, like top 5 in MVP contention for 75 games, 70 games, whatever it was before like the end of the season. I wouldn't want to get most improved
because even the season that's what. Before last year, it was the Grizzlies Warriors. Yeah, because it was the Grizzlies Warriors in the play-in game where Ja blew up and had 50 plus or something, and really took the Warriors to the last second. And everyone knew that he was still really good before that. Yeah,
it was every time he went down court, he got a bucket.
Yeah,
because 2 years ago was when the Warriors lost to the Lakers in the first play-in, and they beat the Grizz in the second.
No, the Warriors lost to the Grizzlies.
They lost to the Grizzlies. Yeah, that's what it was. That's what it was.
Grizzlies were the 8 seed. Yeah,
okay. You're right. Yeah, I mean Desmond Bane, good guy. I can totally see. I'll give you my backup pick, which probably makes a lot more sense for this, and then I'll give you my comedy pick, aka who I would like it to be. Backup pick, Lauri Markkanen. I think the Jazz are going to be bad, but I think he's basically going to have a green light to do whatever the fuck he wants. And from all reports around his camp and people around him, he is finally taking that next step. We'll see. He could continue to be a bad defense, relatively inefficient scorer who's kind of undersized for his position. But, maybe this is the year.
He had a good tournament too in the European tournament.
He crushed it. Yeah, he crushed it. Yeah.
I saw really well.
I mean, we talked about it a little bit a few weeks ago. He was unleashed. My pick that I'd love to see it, and it's not going to happen, but I'd love to see it. And again, I mentioned I don't know what team he's on anymore. It could still be the same team he was drafted to. I don't know. Mo Bamba. I'd love to see Mo Bamba with. Is he still on the Magic? Who the fuck knows, right? Yeah. I guess they shipped Vucci Mane out so that they could just have him. I'd love to see Mo Bamba, turn into an NBA player. Because if you have a song about you, you can't be bad, dude. You got to be good at this thing. Tyler Hero, good. John Wall, good. Kobe Bryant, good.
Kobe.
Yeah, good. Kobe. Yeah. Mo Bamba, tall and long. Figure out how to be good at this. If he won most improved, I would be to the fucking moon because I draft him in fantasy every year and he's worthless.
Well, I'll throw my second pick too. I think Lonnie Walker has a chance on the Lakers to win it. I mean, his highest points per game average was 12 points per game. He looked really good in that Lakers lineup. I wonder how long he's going to be out with that sprained ankle. But just I think the Lakers are just begging for another person to step up. They have LeBron, they have AD. Beverly's not going to really be a help on offense. Russ is Russ, but I think they're just looking for that guy that, when LeBron, because he's such a good distributor too, they just need someone else to really step up. And he looked really good. And looked like a good fit in that offense. I could see him, 12 games, let's say he averages 18 points per game. Lakers do well, top 3 seed. I could see that being,
if Lonnie Walker averages 18 points per game, this Lakers team is going to be a lot better than I thought it was. I don't think that's going to happen, but that would be stupendous. I would be on cloud nine. That'd be incredible. I hope that happens. I hope you're right. As a Lakers fan, that's my ideal scenario.
I feel like it should be for, guys that average 8-10 points and then go to like 16.
Sure, but him averaging like 18 would be like who's the Lakers' third best player? Obviously LeBron, AD, whatever order you got him in right now. That's 1 and 2. Is Lonnie Walker averaging Russ? 18 would be their third best player, I think, almost undoubtedly.
I think he has the chance to do it. That's the thing. Like just on that team, I think that they're really looking for somebody to step up, and they always did. I mean, look at Caruso did earn his way. He is a good player, but just also having the Laker boost is a huge help. And that's where just the big markets too having an influence on these awards. That's why I could see like if they're doing well, if he hits a game winner in some game, and just gets talked about, like I could see it happening. But yeah, dark horse pick.
Bet 10 to win 1,200. On that one.
All right, let's move on to 6 men of the year. And I'm actually going to start this one. And I don't really care which order we go in after that. Ferentino, we'll have you go second. Mode, I will have you go third. 6 man of the year. Don't love this one. Of all my picks, this is probably the one that I like the least. I'm going to go Christian Wood. It's going to require him to be essentially the best version of himself, where he's just scoring in bunches. Apparently, he's very displeased to hear that he's not going to be in the starting unit. There's some issues with him even being in a 6-man role, but I think if he accepts that role, he's going to feast against a lot of bench units. You don't really need a lot of defense from a 6-man of the year. Look at everyone that's ever won that award. You just need a guy who can score heavily.
Tyler Hero.
Yeah, Tyler Hero.
Just get
Crawford. Yeah. I'm surprised Swaggy P never won one. Like it's just guys that can score for a bench unit. Get buckets. Christian Wood can do that. I like him to win it, but if he ends up having like 9 points a game and being a locker room cancer, I wouldn't be that surprised.
A little bit of a head case, which is concerning.
Yeah. Which I like to imagine that if I were an NBA player, I would be too.
But if you're the 6th man, because he'll probably still be playing alongside Luka for a lot of minutes just because of how many minutes Luka plays. And then typically I feel like the 6th man still can find himself at the end of a lot of closing lineups and hit a lot of important shots. And the talent is there. So, right. And
talent is not the problem with Christian Wood. Intensity, effort, mindset, willingness to do the little things. Because you can get away with a guard not playing defense a lot more easily than you can get away with a big man not playing defense. So they might sit him for multiple games if he's not buying into the culture.
Especially with
what's up?
Especially with Jason Kidd as your head coach.
Yeah.
Especially with Jason Kidd as your head coach.
Yeah. Ferentinos, who are you picking for 6 man of the year?
Very boring. I'm going Jordan Poole. He's still coming off the bench. I think the Warriors now, last year they started coming on the scene. That's really when Poole started coming on the scene. But now that I think and the precedent for 6 man of the year, Lou Williams won it 2 years in a row, even though he was the 6 man of the year before. And they're like, well, he's still playing a lot of minutes and scoring buckets. And that's exactly what Jordan Poole is going to be. When Curry was coming off the bench, when he was hurt, he was starting more games. But I think if the Warriors continue to dominate, which they could, we'll see what happens in this final preseason game when Green is playing and Poole's coming off the bench. But if that's his role, he's still going to be great. Warriors are still going to be good. And if that happens, I think Poole is going to win 6 man of the year.
Here's a most recent one. Tyler Hero just won 6 man of the year while playing the most minutes on the Heat.
Yeah.
Most minutes total or most minutes per game?
I think both. I'm pretty sure he won both because he averaged, they were limiting minutes for basically everybody but him. He did have, it might not be total because of the periods that he was injured, but his periods of injury were not as long as like a Lowry or a Butler.
Yes, I would have guessed
his minutes per game were pretty high. I think he was averaging like 32 per game, and everybody else was like under that.
Yeah. Well, I had Jordan Poole as my main pick. I had Christian Wood as my backup. So I'm in the same boat that you were in.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like to me, and we'll talk about other awards, but just feels like a revenge season. Not revenge season because they just won, but like after what just happened with the Warriors, people are gonna not necessarily write them off. But I mean, Zach Lowe and Bill Simmons were talking about just crazy circumstances with this thing. Like my take was it was a little bit overblown just because we saw the video of it. Like Michael Jordan punched Steve Kerr in the face. If anybody knows how to handle this, it's Steve Kerr. I just think the video made it look worse than like what the report was. If that makes sense.
Same with Ray Rice.
Us seeing it, absolutely made it worse because it also went from like a scuffle in practice to Draymond Green cold cocking Jordan Poole. Like he basically hit him with like a Superman punch. Like he's George St. Pierre. Like he left his feet to hit him, which arguably may have taken some sting off the punch. I don't know, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that one. I think they're going to trade Draymond Green this year. I'm pretty confident about it.
Do you think he's going to be a Laker?
No, I don't think so. I don't think the Warriors. I don't think the Warriors are going to trade with the Lakers, even if the Lakers want Draymond Green. And I don't think the Lakers want to trade with the Warriors.
I think 1 month from now we won't even be talking that this happened. So like 15 things will happen between now and a month from now.
Oh, I mean, 15 things will happen by the end of October. Like by one of the season, there's going to be at least 2 Russell Westbrook stories. There's going to be a Ben Simmons story.
We already had one. We already had one.
Two. I just named 2 teams, and we're probably looking at 4 or 5 stories between those guys. Like there's going to be a lot.
Yeah, that's all I mean. It's going to blow over. People are going to forget about it. Is all.
I think like once the games happen, I mean, no one's talking about Deshaun Watson anymore. There's just a lot of things as the season goes into things, as we start getting into the other narratives, if the Warriors keep winning and it seems like things are going okay, like it'll just be kind of another soon we'll see that this thing brought everyone together because of how well they're playing and all this BS.
They're going to use it as some sort of team bonding thing.
Yeah, which Steve Kerr was already kind of very cops protecting their own when he was like, the videographer needs to do this. We should have handled this ourselves. I think he should have been suspended. I'm with who's it? Bobby Portis knocking the fuck out of what's his face,
breaking his jaw.
Nikola Mirotic. Yeah.
It's because
I just looked up the odds.
Down and just
I don't know if you guys looked up the odds for this one ahead of time. I had not. I just looked them up. We picked the 2 favorites to win 6th Man of the Year.
Yeah.
So that's what I was going to say. I didn't look at the odds. I didn't look at them prior to my selection. But yeah, I didn't realize. And Poole was like the heavy favorite.
For this one, I did. It was Poole was pretty heavy. And then Wood, I think, was 3rd.
It's interesting. Tyler Hero opened as the heavy favorite. Maybe it changed after he won it, because they probably figured there wasn't, or maybe they thought, after he got the big money contract that they're going to slot him into the starting unit or something like that. I'm not sure, because Tyler Hero opened at the odds that Poole was at now, plus 450, and now Tyler Hero is plus 1,000. So I don't really know what changed there. But Christian Wood, obviously I'd probably prior to the trade opened plus 2,500, now plus 1,000. They're both, relatively possible bets. If you want to throw a flyer on one of them, go Kelly Oubre plus 3,600. Maybe he figures out this whole basketball thing. And if not, he's got a modeling career.
People do succeed in life.
Yeah, much like Luke Rockhold and the UFC. Like if it doesn't work out for him, just go model.
Must be a nice fallback.
Yeah, must be nice to be one of the most handsome people on earth. Yeah. Couldn't be me. Let's move on. Defensive Player of the Year. Modi, we're going to have you go first. Could be a guy on your favorite team. Let's find out.
It's not. And I hinted at it with my Jordan Poole one. Give me Draymond Green. This has revenge narrative.
I love it.
We're going 6th Man of the Year and Defensive Player of the Year on the same team. Are you picking Steph Curry for MVP?
No, come on. But I mean, Draymond Green's got the 5th best odds. Jordan Poole's got the best odds. These aren't these aren't 2 hot takes or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I just he could have won last year until he got hurt, and then he missed however many games. If he can stay healthy and he plays as well as he played last year, And I think he's obviously going to be highly motivated after, like, I think people are going to like, I mean, he's going to use this as a narrative that people are writing him off, and and like Draymond Green just makes up these things to give himself motivation. So yeah, give me Draymond Green DPOY. He's got the 5th best odds. I'm looking at it now, plus 1,400.
I like it. I mean,
that.
That's his value at this point, is be a distributor and be one of the best defenders on the court and in the league. Otherwise, where is your value? And right now, he absolutely needs to prove his value because he's looking for that big contract. I think if he remains on this Warriors team, he is a good bet for DPOY. I think if he does get moved, it's probably going to crater his chances. I don't really see them giving it to somebody, even if his defensive numbers are really good, unless post-trade, he ends up completely like redefining a defense. I don't see them giving it to somebody who gets traded in the middle of the year. So kind of different answers on that one, considering what we think is going to happen.
I agree with you there.
I'll tell you right now who I think Ferentinos is going to pick.
Oh, you know who I'm going to pick.
It starts with a B and ends with N. Simmons.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
BS.
I mean, so obviously he's one of the favorites. I just looked it up, so I'm curious.
Is he?
I mean, we'll talk about who is on there too. He's one of the favorites, including another player that I didn't really think about, but he's on Griffin's favorite team. But I just think Ben Simmons, especially what we saw in the preseason game yesterday, the one against Miami, Kyrie wasn't playing. There wasn't as much energy. That's where I'm taking some stock in these games where we saw the starters kind of running and doing a semblance of their offense. Because to me, it looked a hell of a lot like the Bucks were actually trying to win that game too yesterday. And Giannis went 6 for 21 against Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons' job on that team is going to be to guard the best player, take the ball up, set those screens for KD and Kyrie to come around and get wide open jumpers. I mean, his playmaking ability was on full display last night too, and he's not going to score. He's going to take a floater with his right hand. It seems like he only shoots with his right hand or dunks with his right hand.
Because he hates all of us.
Ben Simmons, yeah.
But I don't know why he hates us, but he does.
I mean, I'm big on the Nets doing really well this year, so I think that Ben Simmons' identity is going to be I could see him averaging 10 points a game, 11 rebounds, and 12 assists or something like that. And that's the exact type of basketball that I think he wants to play too. And his identity, again, is just going to be guarding the best player on the opposing team every single night. So if he does well and the Nets do well, I could see him winning that award.
So I looked this up when you were talking. So he great job. Ben Simmons did a great job on him in the preseason. You want to know Giannis's stats? Every game he's played against Ben Simmons in games he's played 30 or more minutes.
I'm guessing you remember 36, a lot of these games too.
13, and 8.
He's gone over 30 points every single time, except for one game when he had 18 points. And I remember this game greatly. It was a Christmas Day game when the Sixers just dominated the Bucks back in 2019, the COVID year. He's put up 52, 45, 36, 35, 32. And I can keep going. I can keep naming numbers that are above 30.
Does it say the average? I mean, I'm curious how close.
Yeah, the average is his average is weighted down because one game he only played 22 minutes. He got hurt. Okay. So the average is only 32, 15, and 6.
I mean, look at Giannis in the playoffs, though. I mean, look at Giannis in general. We're talking about a 2-time MVP, NBA champion.
That's my point.
The Greek Freaks. And okay, so if you're the best player guarding the best player on another team, that's to say, okay, Giannis will have his big games. Who's guarding Kevin Durant? If Kevin Durant puts up 40 a night and Marcus Smart wins Defensive Player of the Year, what the hell is that?
Honestly, you know who's guarding Kevin Durant? Drew Holiday.
Kevin Durant?
Drew Holiday plays fantastic defense on Kevin Durant.
He did, and
because Drew Holiday's got that
getting him open last night.
He's got that speed and tempo change shit that gives, and he's so good at picking the pocket of a guy with a high dribble. Durant for his height has an incredible dribble.
Yeah, no,
but Drew
got stripped a lot in the playoffs
on stripping year. Tall guys. His hands are incredible.
And Marcus Smart.
Yeah. Drew Holiday Drew Holiday should have won that award.
Over Smart, yeah.
If you were gonna give it to
a guard,
Drew Holiday should have won that award. I will stake my name on that forever. Here's the thing. I can't push back on Ben Simmons because I'm also picking Ben Simmons. I do not think he is going. Here's my pushback. I do not think he's going to average 10, 11, and 11 because I think it's absurd to think that he's. I mean, first off, his points are going to be higher than that. He's probably going to score between 14 and 16 points a game. Like he's not going to score 10 points a game. He's going to get the ball more than that. He's going to get sent to the line more than that. Rebounds, that's going to require him to have, I think, 3.5 more rebounds per game than he currently averages. There's a number of other guys on this team that are going to collect rebounds. I don't see those numbers going up that much. Assists, let me check real quick.
I mean, if Simmons is playing center.
For his career, he averages 7.7 assists per game. Again, I don't see that going up by 3, even next to Kyrie and KD, because Kyrie is also going to have the ball a decent amount and is going to be making the last pass.
Does an assist count as handing the ball off and setting a screen? Like, those because I think that action, I mean, we saw that the first 2 plays.
I mean, that depends on the Nets scoring table. I would not call that
according to the stats, if the Ben Simmons is dribbling the ball, he comes, sets the screen, and hands it off to KD and Kyrie, and they hit a wide open shot. If that's an assist, I could see.
Well, yes, if that counts on the box score as an assist, then yes, that counts as an assist. But if they take multiple dribbles and then do something, that's not an assist. I'm not saying.
Did you watch this game last night, Griffin?
I absolutely did. I was tweeting about it.
I know you did.
I've watched every Nets preseason game because, again, Matt, I hate myself, and I'm an insane person. My thing is Ben Simmons. I don't think the Nets are going to have the best defense in the league. I'm not even necessarily sure. I don't think they're going to have a top 3 defense. I think if the Nets, with their offense and with the way that he plays defense, where he is getting matched up on the best player basically every single night, if they're a top 6 to 7 defense while being, one of the top 8 teams in the league, if they're a good team throughout, much like Jokic winning as a 5 seed or Russell Westbrook winning as a 5 seed, they're going to give it to him just because of how big of a difference he's going to make on the defensive end. Where you look at an Embiid, you look at a Giannis, you look at a Bam, you look at a Gobert, there's already an expectation for the teams, with the exception of Gobert, the teams they're on are going to be good defensive teams. If Ben Simmons changes the fate, and Draymond Green, there's an expectation for the Warriors to be a good defensive team. If Ben Simmons improves their defense by 10 rankings, 15 rankings, they're going to give it to him on narrative. Even if he is not the most impactful defender in terms of what he actually accomplishes. I think there's going to be a push to give him the award. Could go the other way. The writers could be so sick of him that they don't. I don't know.
If the year the Sixers got the 1 seed, if he didn't win Defensive Player of the Year that year, I just don't think it's in the cards.
Sure.
Gobert could legitimately transform.
I think that's the problem. I think there was the problem with him and Embiid, both being wildly impactful defenders on the same team. Yeah, it's like if you were to take prime Jimmy Butler and also put him on this team with Bam Adebayo, neither of them would ever win Defensive Player of the Year. Bam, I think probably in his career will maybe win a couple of them. But if you put him with another dude who's constantly getting votes for all defense and stuff like that, it's just not going to happen.
I had to take mine away from my dog.
Yeah.
Might have to do the same.
Meanwhile, Vino is just slumped next to me.
It's getting close to dinner time, and they get very antsy when it's close to dinner time. So
I believe that. All right, we'll get through these next 2 really quickly, despite being kind of the biggest picks we're going to make. Let's do MVP. We're going to do our actual pick and our dark horse pick before we move on to each other. Who went first last time? Hodai?
I went first.
All right, Ferentinos, we're going to have you go first. MVP, give me your
Another
real one, give me your dark horse.
So my real one is Kevin Durant. I think
they can both be your real one, but they can differ.
Obviously homer pick. This is if everything goes right, if they play all the games, if everyone's healthy, and the Nets are top 3 seed. Kevin Durant leads the league.
Oh, so this is your dark horse pick.
No. This is I think Kevin Durant's going to win MVP. My dark horse pick. Oh yeah, because
I'm just making fun of the Nets, dude.
I mean, Zach Lowe said his odds are more on them imploding than them actually succeeding. And I mean, he's one of the most respectable names. And I think a lot of people have that same criticism where it's just let's see it happen. And if it happens,
prove it
but they doubt it'll happen. Exactly.
If you stayed on the same trajectory post Eastern Conference. Was it Eastern Conference Finals or second round against the Bucks, whatever it was?
2 years ago against the Bucks.
If you stayed on that
round.
trajectory, I think second round, right? Then sure, I fully get top 3 pick or top 3 seed, MVP, all that shit. But the trajectory has changed.
But,
the roster has changed. I just don't know.
Yeah.
But I get it. I totally get it. Kevin Durant is an incredible player.
I mean, because you look at them before he got hurt last year, they were still one seed. I think on like a 53 win pace on their like win total. So I mean, if he played all last year and they were the 1 seed, he could have won it too. They just got even better this year.
That's my other objection to this pick is Kevin Durant, 34. Right? 34, 35?
33 to 34, yeah.
Yeah, someone in that range. How often do we think Kevin Durant is going to play over 65 to 70 games anymore? Like, not that he's washed by any means, not that he's a Kyrie Irving that misses a lot of games, not that he's a John Wall or anything like that. But if I'm the Nets and I am having a good season, I'm probably trying to rest Kevin Durant down the stretch.
I just think so. I'm hoping that also too, if everything goes right, Ben Simmons plays. I mean, towards the end of the year last year, KD and Kyrie, I don't think were playing back-to-backs for the Nets. I think they were just like, all right, we're in the playoffs. Let's just hang on and try to, get these guys. Because they were playing 40 minutes a night when they were playing in the playoffs. Or if not 48, every single minute. But dark horse pick, not a dark horse name, Zion Williamson. I think if the Pelicans are doing really well and Zion can dominate the league, which he has the ability to do, I could see him playing it. I mean, he's already a darling in the NBA in a way. I think they're kind of waiting for him to take a big step.
Moda and I talked about him a little bit, I think last episode that you weren't on. And I think the league and fans have kind of forgotten how incredible Zion was when he was playing. And that was a Zion who probably was not in the best shape of his life. All reports are that that's not the case anymore. The team is better. The coaching should be better. He should be better. It might take a little bit of time to ramp up. Zion is a very legitimate dark horse pick, considering, they want him to win MVP.
It's just games played. Like, is he going to play 65?
And that's a big one. That's a good one for why it's going to be a dark horse, because, if you put up MVP numbers, you put up 28 points a game or something like that, and then you only play 55 games, you should not win MVP. You might, but you shouldn't.
Yeah.
Modai, let's
so I feel like we're gonna have the same one because I know this is your guy, but Giannis is my favorite pick to win MVP. I just think, like, we'll talk about it in the finals prediction. This just feels like a revenge season for the Bucks after losing in games, like being up 3-2, losing in 7 games to the Celtics, being up 3-2. The fact that they took him to 7 games, I don't think gets enough credit. The fact, like, Chris Middleton missing that entire series.
By his damn self.
Literally by his, I mean, Drew Holiday had his good, like, one offensive game a series, which is what he's good for, and he's always great defensively. But
he can't be your number 2 offensive option. He's too inconsistent.
No, he can't.
Yeah.
But the stats Giannis put up against the best defense in the NBA are it's just silly. It's video game numbers. So, like, I mean, he got the taste of a championship. He lost the next year. This just feels like a Giannis season. That's what I think. Dark horse, give me Darius Garland. Ooh. If the Cavs are a top 3 seed,
wow, he's probably going to be. That's a good
over one. Mobley. I should have thought of Mobley as a most improved guy.
Yeah, Mobley's up there. It's just like, so he's going to be the catalyst of the offense in terms of like distributing and stuff. Like Spida is probably going to get the most shots. Evan Mobley's going to get all of the love defensively with Jared Allen. But Darius Garland,
could he average your dick out on the spot talking about that at the beginning of the show? My God, I would never have gone in that direction, but I like that pick.
He looked so good last year. I was like, I had to start watching the Cavs games to be like, who is this guy? He looked really good.
He's so good. Could he average 15 assists a game? Not actually, but like 13. Could he put up Chris
could he
Paul
do the John
numbers?
Wall thing where he has a streak of like a month of like 12 plus assists? Yes, he could. Absolutely. He's got the guys on that team to pass the ball to.
Yeah, I mean, just lob it to Mobley, lob it to Jared Allen. That's like 7 easy assists a game.
Lob it to Mitchell.
Yeah, or the screen assist with Ben Simmons and Mitchell hits a 3.
Yeah.
I like your dark
Screen
horse
assist or
pick
assist,
more than
baby.
I like your dark horse more than I like your primary pick. I'm not picking Giannis, despite the fact that I think he is the best player in the league, and I don't think it's particularly close. Uh, I don't know how much Giannis is going to care, but we talked about this before with the Bucks. I don't think he's going to care about this regular season. I think the number one goal for him and Drew and Chris and their entire supporting cast is going to be, get a top 4 seed. So you've got a home court as long as you can, but don't get hurt. 30 minutes a game. Don't play crazy minutes. Like Giannis can put up 30, 14, and 8 in 28 minutes. Like he has that capability. I don't know if that's going to be the goal this year. I think the goal for him, honestly, going forward is going to be championships. I'd actually think it's more likely for him to win Defensive Player of the Year than it is for him to win MVP. But at the same time, fair. The numbers might be so stupendous, just a little bit by accident, that he could
double up. Yeah, he could double up again. I just think, I think Giannis is close to MJ level of being like, well, I just simply never want to lose a game ever.
Sure.
Well, I was going to say. Yeah.
No, go ahead.
To your point, Modi, he always shows up in the big games. Like you said, Christmas was a game where he absolutely torched Ben Simmons. Like if he has a chance to play the best player in the league in front of everybody watching, like he always proves himself no matter what. And I think that's why, again, it is the regular season and, they might not play him as much, but I feel like he always rises to the moment in every challenge he has. And so that's where does he want MVP? Probably. Hell yeah.
I don't think he's going to throw an MVP out of bed. I just don't think it's going to be the primary goal. Whereas him at 24, you could feel how badly he wanted the award, and there was, reports of frustration internally when Bud would take him out of games so that he could save his legs. But in a way, it kind of worked out.
Yeah. I mean, it's no surprise that the 1 year where they weren't the 1 seed, they were the 3 seed. The 3 seed was the year they won the championship.
Yeah. Because I mean, even if there's only a few games that separate 3 and 1, like we kind of had last year, it's a lot of wear and tear on a guy, and trying to win those awards is a lot of wear and tear. All right, yeah, good picks. I like everybody's MVP picks so far. We'll see if you guys like mine. I don't know how much I like mine, but I think this might be the year of Luka. He's going to be the guy. It's probably just going to be a continuation of what he did in the playoffs. It's going to be a heliocentric offense around a dude with an absurd usage rate. And I don't think he's going to get worse. And all reports are kind of like with a couple of these other guys, he's coming into training camp looking good, no injuries to report. He's lost a little bit of weight. The team is largely built around his needs. He's got guys that can score on the bench for him. I think Luka's going to put up a Russell Westbrook triple-double season, or I guess maybe the James Harden version of that same season, where it was slightly under averaging a triple-double, but it was a better version of what Russell Westbrook did. I could see him putting up, 30, 39 and 9, very much in the running for Luka.
I mean, because also he never stops playing. I mean, he plays basketball throughout the entire year, plays competitive basketball.
And he's at the age where he shouldn't.
Yeah.
It's keeping
I
him
also
in shape.
remember seeing he looked to LeBron and looked to players that do take care of their body and take that next level. And I think that's his next understanding and becoming because he was always so talented. At a certain point, when you're that young and you're that good, it's do I really need to do that much more? And I think that's where he's kind of taken that step, physically, to try to also compete with those guys. Because, I mean, he still always had the big frame, too, and was able to score and just playing FIBA where you can crowd the lane. He was always used to finishing inside and being that presence, too. But,
people absolutely underrate his athleticism. He's a big, fast, explosive guy who can also do all the little things. And he has tools in all 3 phases of the game.
Yeah, it's because his athleticism isn't above the rim that people don't think. It's the same thing with Embiid. Embiid is a dancing bear with the way he gets footwork. He's just not an above the rim athlete, so people don't consider him a good athlete. But yeah, I mean, the thing with Luka, if he actually takes his body seriously, that's he always. I feel like he always takes the first quarter of the year to just get in shape. He comes in with some baby fat. He's a little doughy after a long bachelor party weekend.
Yeah. Who among us? Who among us isn't?
Yeah. certainly not speaking from experience, coming back from a bachelor party a little pudgy.
Sure.
But I feel like it's not until like the new year, like in January, he's like, okay, I worked off the baby fat. Now let me start dominating. So if he starts that from the beginning, then yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Yeah. Luka is my
Dark
primary
horse?
pick. Dark horse pick. I think Ferentino's thought that I was going to pick this guy for Defensive Player of the Year. I'm going to go Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
I think, and I mean, there's so many questions here.
I love the throw, by the
the
way.
shooting from the bubble false? Are the injuries ever going to stop piling up? Is this team going to be a tops at this point? Let's say a top 5 seed, because they've proven that you can win it as a top 5 seed. Is he going to play more than 55 games? Is the supporting cast going to work? Is Russell Westbrook going to freeze him out? Is LeBron James going to have an injury throughout the season? Like, there's so many questions, but if the majority of those questions work out positively, talent level is absolutely there. And, you know, there were some years in New Orleans where he was like right there in contention, but they weren't winning enough games. If this Lakers team wins enough games, who knows if they will? I think this could be AD's like final shot at it.
Yeah, I get it. I'm out. I'm out on Anthony Davis.
He's
already missing. He's like, isn't he already hurt with already out missing time with a back injury?
Yeah, I don't know if that's like genuine though. I think that's because people actually go to Lakers preseason games and they're like, we're gonna sit him. They had at one point, they had the injury report from one of the Lakers games, and like 7 guys were on it day to day. And then I think like 5, I think it's basically like, we don't know who our lineup is going to be today. We'll figure it out an hour before.
Yeah. I mean, no, sorry, go ahead.
And I was going to say, I thought AD looked good in the preseason, but I think, and what I'm hoping for is if the Lakers are successful, I mean, it's going to go through LeBron. I just think it's really hard for someone to win MVP on a team with LeBron James. And I would love it I mean, we're all about narratives. If LeBron goes out, averages 27 and 7, if he averages a LeBron and they're like top 3 seed, 20th year in the league winning MVP, like, I think that would be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a torch passing type season where Anthony Davis is like the one and not LeBron, and they are good, I mean, I could 100% see the narrative. I'm out on everything involved. Anthony Davis.
Totally,
I'm just out.
Totally understandable. I think the majority of people are out. I have fluctuated between being in and out for whatever reason. I didn't have this feeling last year. I didn't have that great of a feel. I was like, the Lakers are either going to be really good or really bad. And before the season, I was like, they're going to be really good. Anthony Davis got hurt, and I was like, all right, well, I'm like, they're not going to figure this out. This year, for whatever reason, I'm like, he's going to be healthy. Like, he's not going to be the picture of health. He's not going to play 80 out of 82 games. But I could see 67, 68 games out of him, which I think is probably enough to win if they're like incredible games.
Yeah, that would be enough.
Yeah. So we'll see. Let's do our finals picks and then let's get out of here. Cool. All right. I'm going to go first on this one. My 2 finals teams that I don't think I picked anybody from for any of the awards. I'm going to go Bucks and Clippers. And I think the Bucks win the title. And I know that's not like a big stretch because these are 2 of the best teams.
I'm going Nets, Clippers, Nets winning the title.
No surprise.
Simmons wins MVP.
If you could have had Nets versus Nets and Nets winning the title, I'm sure you would have.
I have this same
Ben Simmons wins final MVP. Shut the fuck up.
I have this same exact prediction as Griffin. Bucks over Clippers.
Yeah. Okay. Let's get a little bit deeper on it.
Yeah.
Let's get tiny little bit deeper just for Modi and I. And Ferentino, so you can give your opinion if this is the matchup. How many games?
The Clippers are so stacked. Oh my god.
You think it's like a blowout, or you think they go 7?
Oh, 7 Bucks Clippers.
Yeah, I think that the Clippers have the top to bottom the best roster in the NBA. Just like if you look at like 1 to 12.
I think it's them and the Warriors, in my opinion, are like incredible.
If
the Warriors young players work out, they've got 10, 11 like legitimate, on some teams, starter level players.
Yeah, and like in the Clippers, their like bench 5 unit probably is better than most tanking teams this year. Like it's just like, it's insane. This is like assuming health, which a lot of assumptions need to be made.
Yeah.
It's like Kawhi, Paul George, obviously John Wall. But I think Ty Lue is a great coach. So I think the series goes 7. But I mean, I think the Bucks would have won last year if Chris Middleton didn't get hurt. I don't think there's any reason to think that they're not the best team in the NBA. So I'll take the Bucks.
Well, I think too, Norman Powell. So I was trying to figure out if he would be coming off the bench on that team, depending on any given night, because they're so talented. He could potentially win 6th Player of the Year, and just the fact that like he blew up last night, but also is like a very good scorer, and he's not even in the starting lineup. Like Kawhi, PG, John Wall, you could say maybe Reggie Jackson above him. Like they're just.
I would probably start the season off with John Wall coming off the bench.
I think you should let him run the second unit.
Yeah, I think there's probably if John Wall is healthy, I think there comes a point where he is a better guy to start with PG. And John Wall, obviously, he's never going to be his prime again, but I think his game works a little bit better with those guys. Whereas I think Reggie's a little bit better running a bench unit where he can kind of score more than he can assist. But if John Wall is 70% of who he used to be, this team is going to just win so many games. They're going to be
so good.
Yeah.
Norman Powell has the second best odds to win 6th Man of the Year.
Does he? Okay.
Yeah. All right. I'll give my backup prediction since we don't have the same exact one. If it's not going to be Bucks Clippers, give me the Nuggets. I think the Nuggets are so underrated. I love Denver. It all depends on Jamal Murray, but Bruce Brown's a great addition. KCP's a great addition. And then from the Eastern Conference, I cannot pick the Celtics or Nets for obvious reasons. This pains 100% of my heart, but I do think the Sixers have the second best chance of going to the finals in the Eastern Conference. So if it's not the Bucks, again, I feel physically ill just speaking those words.
I would be, not that it's a matchup that I don't like the Sixers. I'll say it. Like that's clear.
You don't like them as a team, or you just don't like them.
I don't like Philly sports, much like you don't like DC sports. I don't like Philly sports. No, I like a lot of their players. Like if they were on the Wizards or the Lakers, I'd love them, except for Embiid. Fuck that guy.
Well, no,
I
wasn't sure if it was one of those things where.
Oh where yeah, do I like them to win?
Yeah, that's all I was asking.
I think that would be one of the most interesting finals matchups. I think Jokic versus
Embiid Jokic.
There are very few matchups that I think will have like quiet bad blood, maybe like not like real bad blood, but like a little bit of just like, rivalry shit. Oh, look at the puppy. All right. Well, I think that's actually you to get out of here.
Well, her name is JoJo. Guess who she's named after?
I wonder. I assume the artist entertainer.
Actually, no, the Bachelorette contestant who
married Aaron Rodgers' brother. I would not have known that one.
It was the only name I could get my girlfriend to agree with because I wanted it to name after a Philly athlete, and she's like, "Well, I like JoJo from The Bachelorette," so it worked out.
Sure, yeah. I mean, Vino named after Kobe Bryant. My previous dog Harper named after Bryce Harper, obviously now a Philly athlete, and Raya is named Philly's after legend. A Disney movie. So, not an
The Last Dragon.
Yeah, which I named her after before I'd even seen the movie. But I ended up liking it. And I had a previous dog named Kaya. So they're like cousins.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, there you go. All right. That's it. You got to do another podcast, Moda. You got to jump. You got another thing you got to do. If you're watching, if you're still here, thank you for tuning in to the Give and Go show. If you disagree with our predictions, comment below. If you agree with our predictions, comment below. If you have not already done so, click the like button. If you're not a current subscriber and you enjoyed the episode or any of our other episodes, please click the subscribe button. Tell your friends about us. Share us far and wide. Toss us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Send your friends money on Venmo and include a link to the podcast. Do whatever. Maybe I'll do that. That might be a little underground marketing.
Send people pennies.
Send a penny and a link. Yeah. But then I'm going to ask for the penny back. I mean, like take a penny, leave a penny, right? We will be back next week after the season has started. I'm looking forward to that to see what kind of initial games we have. We've got Lakers, Warriors, and then we've also got what is the other one? Celtics. Lakers, Warriors, and yes, 76ers and Celtics. Both should be some pretty interesting matchups. I'm looking forward to that Tuesday night, October 18th. We will see you guys next week. Thank you again for tuning into the Give and Go Show.
Peace.
See you guys.